Right, golfers, let's talk about how the driver should sit on the ground. This is a common question and a common mistake I see with golfers. And there is a skill in how you sit the driver on the ground that could help you hit straighter, longer, better and shorter, but maybe more accurate at times, drives. How should the driver sit on the ground? This is a simple, basic golf lesson for everybody. Remember, if you like the information in this video, hit the like button down. That really helps the channel out. And also I have a free weekly exclusive newsletter. If you want more golf tips that you don't see here on YouTube, they're exclusive just to the newsletter community. Come and join it. We're having a lot of fun and learning a lot about our golf games. So you've got how the club should sit on the ground, and it's going to relate to how you deliver the club in relationship to the ground. And this is a light bulb moment for lots of people watching this video and many people that I've taught over the years. My club is delivered with the toe in the air, 6 degrees. It's not delivered with the score lines, or these two dots, flat to the ground. It's 6 degrees toed up in the air. When I was hitting shots at lesser speed, using forces differently in the ground, I would deliver the club 10, 9 through to 11 degrees toe ended up. My handles got higher over the years through some swing changes, but even with my hands getting higher, I'm still delivering the toe in the air. So there's the initial blowing mind for hopefully some of you watching. Good players, when they set the club on the ground, they are not setting it, often like an iron feels, flat on the ground. That toe, this end, is in the air slightly. The score lines are pitched. I reckon I'm pitching mine at address. I'm 5'10", 5'11" on a warm day, and this is a standard length driver, and I reckon I'm around probably 10 degrees toed up, because you've got bowing of the shaft in that and me raising handles to try and hit the ball further. And this is where this won't be an exact science, and it isn't. I could be 6'4", use this length of driver, that club's going to sit differently on the ground. I could be 5'4", use this length of driver, and that club is going to sit very differently on the ground. The main point here is that lie angle with a club with such little loft, so the lie, how you sit the club on the ground and then in turn how you deliver it, is going to have a very small effect on the club face delivery all being equal. Now we'll come into the video where you see where it actually can have an effect, and it's to do with other aspects of what happens at this end and then what happens with releases when you start putting it on different parts of the ground, which we'll come to, so stay around for that because it's really interesting, and I'll use lie to try and hit more targets sometimes, so we'll show you that little trick as the video goes on. So when it comes to sitting the club on the ground, your driver has a rounded bottom compared to an iron, which has a much flatter bottom. Remember, the iron is interacting with the ground, so how that club interacts with the ground, if it's flat, if it's rounded, will have an effect. A driver, predominantly played 99.9% of the time from a tee, where you're not touching the ground, doesn't interact with the ground. So we've got variation in the sole, giving us variation in the lie, because remember, if you put this club in a robot and change the lie, the directional difference will be minuscule. The human difference we'll explain as we go on. So anyone out there trying to get the club, the score lines flat on the ground, look what it does to the handle. This lies, in here lies the problem. When they do that, which lots of students do, certainly newer golfers, beginner golfers do, it gets posture very upright, which will then change the way this club moves around my body, my ability to get certain angles, certain laydowns or not with the club, certain paths, so it'll affect path. It'll affect rotational speed, so in turn total speed, how much energy I can get out. And then more importantly, it gets it going through the wrong part of your palm, which severely controls face in a weaker way. So how this club sits on the ground will affect your stance, which will affect your swing, which will affect your grip, which will affect the face, and in turn it can influence everything in a positive way as well as negative. For lots of golfers, anyone trying to get it flat on the floor, generally, unless you're ridiculously tall and the club's not really made for you that well, it's going to be a negative. So the easiest way to work out where your 6 degrees, 11 degrees, 8 degrees of toe ending up is actually in your hold. If you're successful at getting the club through lead hand in this position, so base of the first finger and then bottom of the palm at the back of my little finger here, so rather than getting the club through this part of your palm, if I get it through here, then that will dictate how this club shoots out in front of me, which then in turn will dictate how I stand and allow me to set, with a decent posture angle at address, some level of toed up in that address, which then hopefully into delivery, oh, that is an arrow. We're going to see that toe-ended club delivery play out. So your grip is going to allow you to dictate your setup stroke, how that club sits on the floor. Main problem being, let's not try and get those score lines flat, which is what people think. Let's make sure we've got it in a good part of our hands with some forward lean from our waist. Then this is going to look after itself. Now, why do we see variations of this? Great example of a variation of this is Bryson. Great player, very strong. You're going to see him stood, much more arms up, hands up, but it's built around his grip. He has a very weak lead hand grip, so he is using loads of forearm rotation to actually square the face because he's not using his grip. He's a world-class athlete. Now, if you come to me for a lesson and you do that and you're very good at it, we would carry on doing it. But majority of amateurs that I teach day in, day out, and I have done over the years, they can't control that. Hence, the toed up, better grip scenario works much better for some face control. And let's show you how that relates. So I hit 2 shots there and you saw I was 6 degrees delivered toed up, probably starting around 10 degrees toed up. I'm now going to try and start at 6 degrees toed up and see what my delivery comes out at. This is going to make me raise the handle at address. The grip might even sneak a little bit this way, so from here up into this part of my palm. Now, for the purpose of the launch monitor for capture, I'm actually going to aim straight, so you're going to see this ball curve probably off to the right, but I'll show you then how I would use it when we're not looking for the measured data. So you can see I'm more upright. I'm trying to put the club more at 6 degrees toed up, so less toed up at address. I'm going to hit my shot, and there it moves. Started straight where I was aiming, and then it's curved off to the right. And you can see my lie delivery is now down to 5 degrees. 2 things. The deviation between where I start to where I deliver is less, which we'll talk about. Also, I have delivered the lie a little bit more straight to only 5 degrees away from the score lines being straight. So I've moved almost 2 degrees of lie out. And with that shot, every time I do that shot, it's a very repeatable shape. So if I do this standing tall, a slightly different grip, but aim up the left with this delivery, I can now hit a ball left to right, and I feel like I'm going to hit the same shot every time, nearly onto the line. Now, what also happens is all the distance comes off. It's a weaker swing for me. I haven't got the power from that hold, that setup that I have in my ordinary swing. So I've developed a short, comfortable, easy to repeat drive that just hits in the fairway. If I want to hit the ball around 250, 260 yards, there's a shot. I've got it. I can hit a 3-wood hard, or I can hit a soft driver. So I can use lie to actually increase my skill set. Now think about yourself as a viewer watching this. Do you hit the ball long enough? Most of you probably don't think you do. Do you over slice and not control shots? Lots of you watching probably do. And the default with this, I see from amateurs, is very rarely too toed up. They're much more level to the ground, high through the handle holds. There, I'm using your swing fault, aiming it left, as a skill. You're using it as your default. So working towards that better hold, better posture with the toe up is going to give you more ability to swing a little bit harder and get the release of the club. So me having bigger deviations from where I start to where I deliver is me creating force, getting in and out of the ground, really trying to jump at the ball. Where when I stand more upright and I deliver only 1 degree different, well, I probably delivered, or I reckon I was 5 degrees at toe up at address, and I probably delivered 5, I would guess. 1 to no degrees of deviation from where I stand to where I hit creates a safe short shot, but it's 50 yards short of where I would hit my standard shot. I don't want that as my gamer. I want that as a useful shot if I need it. If you're playing this way and that's your gamer, you're just leaving distance on the table. And then vice versa, this isn't always the way. If I get the toe right up in the air, aim to the right, feel like I'm going to really release the club, try and hit a drawing drive. You can see that one turning left. I mean, my delivered lie now is 8.8, nearly 9 degrees toed up. You can see strike isn't really deviating. Again, this one was a slightly smaller carry at 273, meaning how I sit this club on the ground is severely influencing my speed, how I control the face, and in turn how I control the path, where I might need to aim to hit target more right, more left. You need to find some level of where it works best for you. And the only way you're going to do that is by playing with these ideas. Start in a standard position with a solid hold and a decent forward lean posture from your waist and hit shots. If you're someone who struggles with too much fade, you might really try to push that grip a little bit lower. Try and get that head, the toe a little higher and deliver it a little higher, which might encourage more of a rolling face, giving you some better face control. If you're someone who overhooks, you might go a little bit more here with your hold. Stand up that little bit more in your address, which delivers that more held off feeling through impact, giving it a straighter shot than your over curve. And that's the beauty of this. Your general rule is you don't want the club lying flat on the floor, but you do want to understand the variations of straighter to more toe up to loads of toe up and work them into whatever your default is. The beauty with all things golf, we're not going to do them all the same. You need to make it work for you within all your other matchups. But if you're not practicing how that club sits on the ground, you're basically just going to be practicing something that is a constant fight where you can actually use more up, more down to help you hit more targets, create more speed, hit better drives, and enjoy that game a lot more. Now, if you want to learn how the iron should sit on the ground, this video's got loads of information that's helping a lot of golfers improve their strikes.